Well, good evening and welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. It's always good to have you join us. We have lots lined up for you, including that segment on Disruptive Friday. My name is Linda Alela. So much happening, and we're certainly here to make sure that you are enlightened on the same. Karibu sana.
Well, thank you, Linda. My name is Eric Munene, and tonight on Disruptive Friday, as Linda Alela correctly puts it, we are going to look at the considerations that players in the artificial intelligence and machine learning fields have to make their learning models up to date with the fast-changing technological world. But that is up next in about 30 minutes or so.
Right, and of course, before we get to that, allow us to take a look at what we have prepared for you tonight. Tonight, bitter sweet sugar, as businessman Jaswant Rai is ordered to pay Butali Sugar Company millions in damages.
Just what exactly caused the nationwide power outage? MPs give Energy CS Davis Chirchir 12 days to explain to the nation what triggered the blackout.
Rolls tonight. President William Ruto launches electric motorcycles, insisting on the key element of reducing carbon emissions in the country. Well, TV47 Weekend Edition begins right away. Once again, my name is Linda Alela. Our sign language interpreter tonight is none other than Rhoda Nyamai. We have lots lined up for you. Kindly be part of the conversation also as we wait for that great edition on Disruptive Friday. As always, the hashtag is Disruptive Friday. We'll be looking at some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. But away from that, Kenyans will wait a little bit longer to know what exactly triggered the nationwide power outage in the country last week. Members of Parliament have given Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir a 12-day ultimatum to present a detailed report on the power incident. All the members of Parliament were seeking to know who is the liable following losses incurred due to the power outage. And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, members of Parliament want the energy sector to allow more players, especially from the private sector, to engage in power supply to avert more losses in future.
Appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Energy, Energy CS Davis Chirchir was grilled over power outage on 25th August 9:30 p.m., which lasted over 24 hours. MPs seeking to know who should be held liable over the losses accrued in different sectors due to the nationwide power outage.
Kenyans particularly want to know, who do we blame for this particular blackout, so that where we sit from the committee, we can now start understanding how do we seek compensation for Kenyans occasioned, for the losses occasioned by the blackout. I understand they are very strict with their contracts. They give us take or pay. If we don't take, we still pay. So what if they don't give us? We get a blackout. So we must charge them the way they charge us when we don't take, if they don't give us. Because this really kind of imbalance of business must stop.
He told the committee that they are still compiling data and sampling machines in various power plants in the country and are yet to place their hand on exact problems, seeking 12 more days to compile and present their report.
However, for the convenience of the members, if you are at some point now that you can comfortably say we can conclude it is this particular person, we'll be very happy if you give us that information now.
To this extent, we really are getting down because most of the data we flew in, most of the data from all the distance power plant, and I can assure you I've been to Suswa, where the engineers are today 3 times. On this particular night, the PS and myself slept in the National Control Center, and I can assure you we are on top of it, and the time requested by the engineers in another 8, 10, 12 days is not asking for too much to arrest the situation and ensure that the country is safe.
Fair enough.
An answer which didn't sit well with the committee members, who sought to understand how even generators would not kickstart in some areas, thus the outage, now urging the CS to ensure the power supply space is opened for private sector to avert more losses in future.
Is a problem maybe with the one generator. It should not cause a problem to other areas. Can we separate this our circuit so that we don't have similar problems? Because it is worrying that because we are importing power from Ethiopia, we are importing power from Uganda. Suppose even from the other side, someone mysteriously decides to send excess power to Kenya. Do we again expect to have another power blackout the whole country?
Again, and paid a lot of money, a lot of taxpayers' money, which we believe, and this committee still holds, that it's being paid to them illegally because the contracts that were signed were skewed in the interest of the people who are holding the offices at that time. We need answers to this country. There is no way. Also, why can't we get to be independent? In case we disagree.
And I don't think we take this very lightly. We had a national blackout. It's a very, very serious concern. And therefore, we're going to take the necessary action, including sanctioning in line with the Act and the PPA requirements, anybody who comes and is found culpable. Thank you.
The Friday 25th August power outage saw Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen make changes in the leadership of the Kenya Airports Authority and fired its managing director Alex Gitari of the blackout that affected Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Renin Barthold businessman Jaswant Rai has been ordered by the court to pay Butali Sugar Company 507 million shillings in damages of unlawful interference in the sugar miller operations. Butali Sugar Millers has won the case following a legal battle that has dragged for 15 years as businessman Jaswant Rai opposed the registration of Butali Sugar Factory, which he argued was within 24-kilometer radius of Mumias Sugar Company operations. And as Dennis Otieno now reports, it's a sigh of relief for Mumias Sugar Company after Nairobi lawyer Jacqueline Kimeto withdrew an insolvency case against the company that she had filed before the commercial court.
The legal suit between rival sugar millers West Kenya Sugar Company, owned by Jaswant Rai, and Butali Sugar, that has dragged for 15 years, came to a conclusion Friday afternoon after High Court Judge Justice Alfred Mabea ruled Jaswant Rai to pay in damages 507 million shillings to Butali Sugar for interfering with the operations of their rival. Rai had in March 30th, 2007 filed a case in court opposing the registration of Butali Sugar Mills, arguing that it was built within a 24-kilometer radius of their processing plant, a process that prompted Butali Sugar to sue West Kenya Sugar Company. The legal battle that dragged for years captured the attention of political leaders from Western Kenya region, and the outcry led President William Ruto to declare war on sugar cartels in the country in a bid to institute reforms in the sector. The ruling comes barely hours after Jaswant Rai Thursday withdrew his application at the Court of Appeal, which had challenged his sibling and business rival Sarbjit Singh Rai's bid to manage the collapsed miller after Jaswant's Sarai Group won a 20-year lease to run Mumias Sugar Company. Jaswant's woes unraveled after he was kidnapped under mysterious circumstances last week before being released 2 days later. President William Ruto had attributed the failure to revive the Mumias Sugar Company, which the government is the biggest shareholder, to sugar cartels, whom he warned of deportation or jail term. Dennis Otieno, TV47.
Thanks, Dennis, for that. A majority of Kenyans who have been waiting for a long time to get their passport from the Immigration Department now say nothing has changed at the department despite the impromptu visits at Nyayo House by the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki. They claim corruption is still rife and long queues continue to be witnessed at Nyayo House. This as CS Kindiki visited the immigration offices today for a second time within 48 hours, promising to clean the rot in the department, as Eric Matika details.
In less than 48 hours, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki for the second time made an impromptu visit to the Immigration Department at Nyayo House this week, assuring Kenyans that he will deal with the cartel at the immigration offices to ensure better service delivery. Kindiki said that his random visits are aimed at encouraging staffers to work hard towards clearing the passport backlog, which has been a thorn in the flesh for months.
Mimi nataka kuapa mbele yenu na mbele ya Wakenya. Hakuna mtu atachukua hongo hapa tena. It is over. Nobody will come and do that monkey business here again.
However, Kenyans who have been stranded waiting for services at Nyayo House have expressed their dissatisfaction, insisting on corruption as the main obstacle in the Immigration Department.
Hakuna change yote mimi naona juu kama yangu ni last year February. Up to now, mimi hata naona watu wanakuja juzi, mtu anakuja last month anapata yake. Mimi nimeishi kukuja hapa, imejazwa printing kila kona. Mpaka lini?
Ni kama kuna makatela hapo. Wanakuja sisi tumeketi hapo, tumekaa hapo almost 6 hours. Line isongi lakini mtu anakuja na kina kabaki kakona vitu zake.
Because of the appointment nimekuja hata anaanza kusumbuliwa, si qualify kuwa kupewa passport.
Watu wengine wanakuja na wafanyakazi wa hapa ndio wanapitisha mwingine ambaye amekuja mapema asubuhi.
Hao tunafaa kubadilishwa. Hata hili wabadilishwa wapelekwe station nyingine kuleta wengine wageni na wachanganyishwe
If possible. Wacha watu wako transferred. And if they are hold, watolewe vijana wako energetic. Wanaweza fanya hii kazi. Kuna shida manpower hapa kubwa sana.
However, Kindiki has noted that his visit will be extended to other immigration offices in different parts of the country, with the aim of fighting corruption and ensure better service delivery.
This is not a Nyayo House affair only. We have immigration offices in Mombasa, in Kisumu, in Nakuru, in Embu, and we are reopening the immigration office in Garissa. The same operation that we are doing here, we will extend it in those offices there.
4 people suspected of soliciting bribes from Kenyans in order to process their passports were arrested earlier this week by officers from the DCI. The CS put the said cartels on notice and requested the public to offer information relating to corruption deals. Eric Matika, TV47.
Expected to brook a post-election political standoff between the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance and the Azimio coalition has prioritized the reconstitution of the new electoral body IEBC and the audit of last year's presidential election results top on the agenda ahead of the talks in a week's time. The committee, which adopted the agenda today, faces an acid test on how it handles the electoral justice issue and the contentious cost of living, all set to be discussed by the joint team. And of course, as Apollo Kamau reports on that, I am told we'll bring you that story. Oh, here we have it. All right. All right, well, of course, I'm told that we're going to bring you that story later. But for now, the registration of the elderly, orphans and disabled persons has officially kicked off throughout the country. The new registration process will ensure the senior citizens and all vulnerable groups are cushioned by the government, as Nelly Lusigi tells us.
Day 1 of the registration exercise for the beneficiaries of the Inua Jamii program. This was the picture in majority of the centers. Elderly came in numbers. The government says it plans to increase the number of elderly persons registered under the program from 1.23 million to 2.5 million in the next 3 years. Approximately 500,000 elderly persons aged 70 years, orphans and widows are expected to benefit from this program, with majority asking the government to increase the funds.
Kwa sababu mbili inaonekana kama ni kidogo. Takana waongeze kidogo kawe katatu au kaine hivi. Kwa sababu kiona kama sukari ni kilo moja ni shilingi 250. Sasa hiyo mbili ni kilo ngapi? Si ni kidogo sana.
Laikipia County Commissioner has called on the elderly to register, saying that the government is in the process of cleaning up the registry to ensure the right persons benefit for the program.
We talk after the cleaning, we have lost 190,000 of them. And that is because of our, we do this cleaning of data continuously. And we will be doing it. That is why I said we shall be onboarding regularly, and we shall be offloading the ones who have left us.
This is as Mbere MP criticized the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Services, saying that the program has failed.
And this is a case by the Minister of Labour. Wewe waziri, kama utaki kufanya kazi, toka. Kuna wakenya wengine who can be ambao wanaweza patiwa kazi. Tumeona mawaziri wengi ambao wanafanya kazi sawa, lakini wewe umeanza hii mpango na hii mpango haunjapanga sawa.
Nelly Lusigi, TV47.
The social health insurance bill that, if passed, will compel every household in Kenya to channel 2.75% of their income towards the kitty continues to elicit mixed reactions among Kenyans, with majority opposed to the bill. The social insurance bill will compel every Kenyan to be member of the health scheme for them to enjoy these services, setting motion for the implementation of the universal health coverage. Here is Shilachik Lagat with more on that.
The government's plan to effect 2.75% deduction on the income of salaried Kenyans in the new social health care fund has elicited mixed reactions amongst Kenyans.
Tunalipa 500, hata inakuwa shida kulipa hiyo 500, shida kabisa. Juu budget maisha imekuwa ngumu, hata kupata hiyo 500 saa hii tunalipa inakuwa kazi ngumu. Ndio itakuwa ati unaongeza 2.5, 2.7.
Huduma zao ziwe sawa kwanza. Tulitike sisi kama wananchi ama sisi kama wanachama wa NHIF turitike. Tukisharitika alafu tukiona ya kwamba huduma yao ni sawa, basi wataweza kusema ya kwamba waongeze 2.8%.
Under the social health insurance bill, the universal health coverage will be modeled in 3 categories: the primary health care fund that caters for primary care services at the community level. Also, the social health insurance fund shall cover primary referrals and chronic illnesses such as cancer management, and all these shall be managed by a single board and secretariat. Government intends to make the social health insurance fund mandatory for all Kenyans, which then would give a lifeline to the universal health coverage UHC that has been dormant since its inception.
NHIF at this moment is owing health facilities a huge amount of money. Now, if they abandon that NHIF to start a new one, please, before they dissolve it, let them clear the backlog of the debts. Because then that will be an injustice of the highest order.
Fund the health scheme, the government plans to increase NHIF deductions to a flat rate of 2.75%, away from the current deductions of between 150 Kenyan shillings to 1,700 Kenyan shillings. According to President William Ruto, this raft of changes in the funding model would make it easier for vulnerable Kenyans to access NHIF, signaling major progress towards universal health coverage in the country. This bill is expected to be presented before Parliament by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah for debate.
We trust our Parliament is going to do a good job when it's presented to the Parliament, that they will look into it very carefully so that the people are not actually shortchanged.
Passed into law, salaried Kenyans will be deducted 2.75% of their monthly pay that will be channeled to their funds beginning October this year. Sheila Chelangat for TV47 in Nairobi.
Now, farmers with access to localized irrigation water have been advised to take up high-value crops with short maturation rates as the country anticipates the El Niño rains. And farmers in areas likely to experience heavy rainfall say that water reservoirs are serviced and ready for storage, but they still have one major deterrent: last-mile connectivity to have this water. Our reporter Hibak Said went to see a model reticulation system set in the heart of Nyamira County that services a number of pilot households and brings to you the following report.
Water reticulation. This piped water network is a total assurance for farmers here whose main concern is ensuring the water gets to these crops. Across the country, over 35,000 households have 3,000 cubic meter close proximity water pans for their 1 to 2 acre lands. This is ideally complemented by communal water pans with a potential capacity of more than 130,000 cubic meters, creating employment to at least 5 people per acre, translating to 250,000 people employed from water pan projects across the country.
But it can be more because during the dry season, you get the catchment of this area is very big. So you get more people coming here to collect water from here.
So how do we get this particular water into the farms so that the farmers can benefit the most? From this overhead water tank, this entire ward gets water directly to their homes, costing each family a mere 100 shillings a week.
Huyu mradi iko na 150 members wenye wamewekea maji na mfereji yenye inatoka kwa mlima kwa tanki, alafu inasunguswa kwa nyumba. Hao maji yanatufaidi sana hata kutumia kwa kunyunyusia ng'ombe, kupatia ng'ombe, kunyunyusia mimea, kuosha manguo.
The solar panels bordering the Kahawa Small Dam provides energy to pump water to the overhead tank. Periodically, the water gushes into the tank with the movement of the clouds overhead. From then on, the water is spread through the natural forces of gravity. This system, the National Irrigation Authority says, is ideal for communities looking to year-round farming.
Maji inatakiwa ende kwa michi karibu, kwa sababu michi iko pande ile. Sasa irrigation inafanywa karibu maji mahali mashamba yako.
The authority is also banking on overhead water tanks to take advantage of ground terrain and sloping, to use the natural forces of gravity to bring water as close as possible to farmers. The community now wants to extend this to another 300 households, inching closer to the millions of acres the government wants to put under irrigation. Hibak Said for TV47.
And back to the bipartisan conversation and the National Dialogue Committee expected to broker post-election political standoff between the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance as well as the Azimio coalition has prioritized the reconstitution of the new electoral body IEBC and the audit of last year's presidential election results top on the agenda ahead of the talks in a week's time. The committee, which adopted the agenda today, faces an acid test on how it handles the electoral justice issue and the contentious cost of living, all set, of course, to be discussed by the joint team, as Apollo Kamau tells us.
The outcome of last year's presidential election results and the reconstitution of the new electoral body IEBC will be top on the agenda when the National Dialogue Committee meets in a week's time. The electoral justice agenda is an acid test for the team, as questions abound on what exactly the committee will recommend on auditing of last year's presidential election results, an issue Kenya Kwanza is opposed to outside the talks.
We are happy to report to the country that we have been able to adopt the prioritization of the issues that are before us as proposed and agreed on by the Technical Committee, and the National Dialogue Committee has agreed to adopt that proposal, issue of IEBC. Kenyans understanding the urgency of that matter.
Kimani has just said that the number one item as prioritized is IEBC. The correct wording is electoral justice. And if you look at it, IEBC is number 2. So that we look at all the issues around electoral justice, including IEBC, because of the urgency of the matter. So beyond that, I think we are all set.
The talks, which will resume in a week's time, will also tackle the cost of living as Agenda 2, amid questions on what exactly they will discuss, an issue experts say should not be subjected to the talks, but practical action.
You cannot discuss cost of living. It just requires action. And we can see that there is a lot that needs to be done. What we cannot guarantee is whether there will be an agreement on those two issues, in particular auditing of servers, especially now that we do not have a commission in place. So how will this be conducted without a commission?
Political parties' interference will be agenda item number 3, an issue the opposition is pushing after Kenya Kwanza raided the opposition camp. Key constitutional funds like CDF, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the Senate Oversight Fund ranked as item 4 in the talks. The entrenchment of the office of the official opposition leader and Prime Cabinet Secretary slot ranked as the last agenda. The NDC technical team is expected to receive memoranda from Kenyans the entire of next week to also allow members to attend the Climate Change Summit. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Well, Apollo Kamau certainly continues to follow that story for you. For more updates with all this anticipation that Kenyans have, it's at this very point that we close the beat of stories, but not just yet. Before we get to listen to what Dennis Otieno has in store, that is in the world of sports, then we're going to disrupt your Friday, as well as we look forward to that episode of Wabebe. So we take a short break, yes, and then we'll be having Dennis Otieno with the break. I am told that we go to Dennis straight. Dennis.
All right. Thank you, Linda, for that introduction. Now, tonight, we have a lot that's lined up for you in the world of sports. We'll be telling you about the new home of the Ministry of Sports and a number of federations in the country. We shall also be telling you about the results registered in round 2 of the FKF Premier League. Those among many other sports stories that we've lined up for you and coming right up. A very warm welcome to Primetime Sports. My name is Dennis Otieno. Now let's start off with the headquarters of the Ministry of Sports. Now the Ministry of Sports Friday afternoon unveiled its new headquarters dubbed the Talanta Plaza, which was launched by President William Ruto and will house a number of sports bodies and federations in the country at Upper Hill, Nairobi. The 16-story building will host the Sports Fund body, sports federations, as well as the National Olympics Committee of Kenya NOC offices. Speaking during the unveiling ceremony of the building, President William Ruto reiterated that the commissioning of the Talanta Plaza is a direct reflection of the government's commitment to matter sports, youth and arts in the country. Meanwhile, Sports Cabinet Secretary Babu Namwamba stated that the office will be convenient for them in executing and delivering their work effectively.
Kenya has edged its name onto the global sports map with resounding success. Our athletes and sports people and sportsmen and women accomplishments have not only brought glory to our nation, but have also served as a testament to the incredible dedication, discipline, and talent that thrive within the country. From the world-famous dominance in long-distance running to the triumphant moments of various international stages, breaking world records, our sportsmen and women continue to inspire us all.
We must invest in these young people to bring the best out of them so that their dynamism, capacity for innovation and talent can contribute to the transformation of our nation and can open up many opportunities for them to participate in the development of our country. We are committed to investing in and developing the talent and innovativeness of our youth as we consider them integral to the creative economy pillar of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda and essential to the entire plan.
Now, moving on to matters football. The 2023-2024 FKF Premier League season progressed Friday afternoon, with 5 matches getting underway in various stadia across the country. The Nyayo National Stadium witnessed a late 1-1 stalemate between FC Talanta and Shabana FC, courtesy of goals scored by Kevington Machika and Justin Omwando respectively, while at the Police Sacco Stadium, Curtis Wekesa, Jackson Masharia and Brian Otieno scored goals for Posta Rangers, which defeated Kenya Police 3-0. Meanwhile, Bandari FC secured their first away win at the Kasarani Annex after edging Sofapaka 1-0 through Umaru Kasumba's second-minute goal, as KCB defeated FC Leopards 1-0 through Derek Otanga's 78th-minute goals. Now, elsewhere at the Muhoroni Stadium, Muhoroni Youth played out to a 1-1 draw with Nzoia Sugar, courtesy of goals scored by Collins Odhiambo and Dan Wafula, respectively.
Game imekuwa tough all along, but team zote at least zimejitahidi vile wamekuwa kicheza, imekuwa ni game poa. Kila team game imekuwa wame close in, ijakuwa rahisi kwa pande yote. Chances zimekuwa ni chache, lakini at least tulikuwa nataka baada ya kulose angalau kupata point ingekuwa mbaya. Ingawa dakika mwisho tumeshangaa sana kuona vile tumeconcede, ijakuwa kwa njia nzuri. Last match tuliconcede mwisho tena leo, so bado kuna kazi ya kurekebisha, but nashukuru tumepata point moja, tumekomboa kupata nafuu.
We were so unlucky that we lost, we drew the game, but I think it was remaining 3 minutes towards the end of the game. We are going to work on this because I think it was bad luck at the 11th hour that we are drawing the game. But I think now we are going to work on the next game to see whether we are going to change the game from good to better game. But for this one, now it's over. We have to plan for the next game.
And still in matters football, Kenya's football enthusiasts Friday morning got a chance to view the cherished English Premier League trophy, which is on a 2-day tour in the country. The Premier League Trophy Tour was organized by the league's official partner Castrol in collaboration with energy company in the country, Rubis, in a consumer promotion that will see lucky participants earning a behind-the-scenes tour of stadia and interaction with English Premier League players in the dressing rooms, players' tunnel, as well as pitchside. The exhibition of the Premier League trophy was graced by legendary player JJ Okocha, who treated fans to his famous juggles and dribbles at a Nairobi hotel. The exhibition of the Premier League trophy is set to culminate Saturday evening.
The Premier League Cup to Kenya. And I think you can see just how important and how significant Premier League is to the Kenyan people.
Tomorrow it's a unique opportunity to see the trophy, to witness that fantastic trophy. It will be available at the Carnival Grounds from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can just come, it's free. You come with your family, with your friends, and you can see the trophy. It's a fantastic opportunity to come and see that unique trophy.
And from matters football to matters rugby, where KCB Rugby Football Club's head coach Andrew Amonde has urged his team to step up at the 5th leg of the National Rugby Sevens circuit, the TSAP Sevens in Eldoret Town this weekend. The bankers will have to cope with the absence of Samuel Asati, Elvis Olukusi, Festus Shiasi, Austin Sikutwa, and Vincent Onyala, who have been called to the national team for upcoming competitions. Forward Trevor Odawa has been handed his first outing with the team since the start of the National Sevens circuit and will lead KCB's attack alongside Elfas Adunga, Levi Amunga, Eugene Omondi, and Bob Muhati. Now, speaking during their training session, KCB RFC head coach Andrew Amonde stated that they target to surpass their bitter rivals Kabras Sugar, who lead the standings with a 2 points advantage ahead of the final leg of the series in Nairobi.
I think basically the team will carry on doing what we have been doing. We've been training. We have system that Christy Sevens showed that we have systems that are working for us, and we'll continue building in the system and trusting what we can do with the system. At the end of it, the system will carry us and we'll have good results. We are working to win a game at a time. We have no pressure, seeing as how the tables are, how we are at the table. We have no pressure at all, so we're just working a game at a time and making sure that we put our heads up and we look forward to the bigger goal, and that is winning the circuit. KCB has many players, has younger players, experienced players, and I think majorly, I think in the past we have always had players going into the national teams, and it has never changed the results or whatsoever the change of the team. So it's just a boost and morale to the players who are back home to be able to rise up to the shoes that are left with the other players and basically give a win for KCB, and at the end of it all, take up the circuit.
The team has been training from the beginning together, so there'll be no detriment to the quality of the team. Our defense has been clinical, to say the least. Our attack has been also without relent. So we're looking at just keep doing what we're doing. Different squad.
And that is all we had prepared for you in the world of sports. Now you're up to speed with the latest sports stories taking shape locally as well as internationally. Now my name is Dennis Otieno. I do want to thank you for choosing to join us. Now I wish you a lovely night. But the news does not end here because we're taking a short break. When we come back, Linda Alela as well as Eric Munene will be taking you over through that all-important conversation. But as of now, let's just take it back to Linda Alela on the other side of the studio.
And of course, all our Fridays are about innovation and technology, so we do not step out of this space before we have served you that moment of technology after this break.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Monio.
Willy Dennis Njiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
but you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, on Disruptive Friday this year, the Finance Act introduced two distinct taxes aimed at individuals earning income online in Kenya. That is the Digital Content Monetization Tax and Digital Asset Tax. These taxes have implications for various online earners, including bloggers, influencers, writers, e-commerce operators, and anyone generating income through platforms such as Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Jumia, Amazon, Upwork, and others. So, just want to take you through about how that is going to happen. So, digital content monetization tax applies to businesses or individuals that are advertising on their website or social media accounts, sponsorship or endorsement of products, memberships or subscriptions, offering affiliate marketing commissions, charging for membership or subscriptions, selling digital products like logos, brands, ebooks, courses, software, photos, music, etc. Also, they'll be taxing utilizing crowdfunding online. So the tax rate for digital content monetization is set at 5% withholding tax when making payments to Kenyan residents and 20% when Kenyan residents make payments to non-resident content creators. Those responsible for payment must withhold 5% before disbursing funds to the content creator. Withholding tax should be remitted within 5 days of making the payment to the content creator. Now, content creators are also required to report their income in annual tax returns. So how will they go about that? Let's have a look. Digital asset tax pertains to the sale of digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, intangible assets, token codes, and non-fungible tokens, also known as NFTs. This tax should be submitted within 5 days of making the payment at a rate of 3%. Also, Kenyan residents and non-individual entities earning income exceeding 1 million Kenyan shillings in a year, but not exceeding 25 million Kenyan shillings, are required to pay a turnover tax of 3%. This tax should be settled before the 20th day of each month. So you might be asking yourself, how will you pay the withholding tax for these services? Now, for content creators, to fulfill your withholding tax obligations as either a limited company or an individual, follow these steps. Log into the KRA iTax portal, navigate to payment registration, choose income tax, then income tax withholding tax, select self-assessment, opt for either the web form or download Excel form. If you have multiple people to pay, indicate digital content monetization as the nature of the transaction in the form. Provide the following details of the content creator you compensated: their country, date of payment, name, KRA PIN, email address, and amount paid. So calculate the withholding tax owed. Click the Add Details button to include the multiple creator payment details if necessary. And finally, you submit the form and you're all set. Well, to one of the biggest news on innovation today, the government is focusing on charge and swapping centers for the rolled out boda e-bikes with the aim of pushing for a country-wide adoption in the near future. President William Ruto says the advent of the cheaper and environmentally friendly bikes, the government might at some point do away with the importation of their fossil-fueled counterparts altogether. Have a look.
The metropolitan area has around 7 e-bike charging and swapping stations, the number decreasing as the radius increases to the entire country. This is in contrast with the ambitious Kenya Kwanza aspiration of fully integrating 1.5 million bodas into using e-bikes.
The investment is fully aligned with our bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and I expect that not just Spiro, but all the other players in this field to work with us, work with the ministry responsible, so that we can all share in the market that exists and give ourselves the best possible opportunity.
Slow and steady, the president says the growth will be in the migration to fully electric motorbikes in the country until it fully stops the importation of fossil-fueled motorbikes.
Na katika wavu hilo ndo tutapata hawa vijana wetu. Wana bidii kubwa, wana kiu ya kusukuma uchumi, lakini changamoto kubwa ni kwamba they don't have affordable credit.
Njia moja ya kukabiliana na climate change ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tuko na magari na bodaboda ambayo ni ya stima ama inatumia nguvu za umeme.
E-bikes, which typically uses only a quarter of fueling costs, has a high initial cost, a price the government says will come down as the country ventures into self-production in comparison to local assemblage.
We will buy this motorcycle at 160,000, those who want to pay cash. But because in 6 months we expect them to assemble the motorcycle here in Kenya, that price will come down from 160,000.
The government will now turn to availing charging points to push the initiative. Hibak Said for TV47.
Well, thank you, Hibak Said, for that. Now, artificial intelligence is indeed a prominent and rapidly evolving field that continues to shape our world in various ways. It is fascinating to see how technological advancements are driving innovation in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Here are some key takeaways from my chat that I had earlier on with an AI expert on the evolving landscape of AI. Have a look. The world of artificial intelligence and machine learning is moving fast. And in that field, there are a lot of issues that have to be considered. We have issues of ethical considerations that have to be made, the issues of making AI models as well as machine learning models up to date as technology moves fast. Well, today I have a chat with Renata Walker, an AI product manager at Summersource Kenya, a company that has worked with Fortune 500 companies as well as winning some accolades, including the TISAX Awards, which is a very prestigious award in the world of AI and machine learning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, in my introduction, I've mentioned the issue of ethical considerations that have to be made. What are some of the ethical considerations you make while coming up with AI models?
Yeah, sure. So we have an ethical guild here at Sama, which is composed by our some associates. We also have like our leadership back in California, our impact leadership in California. We have also a head of AI. And they are all just like forming a guild that helps us decide whenever we want or not to collaborate or work in a different project. So we will assess what type of data we're using, what type of use case they're building for this AI model, and even who is this project, like who is this company, and how we feel about the work that they're going to be doing. So this guild, the good thing about it is that it doesn't require any management approval. Like they're the ones that are deciding if we do the work or not, depending on those ethical criteria.
What are some of the most impactful projects that you've worked on?
There's plenty of different projects that we work here at Sama. We are working with multiple industries. In my role, I work a lot with 3D, which is collaborating with all the auto manufacturers. So companies are building cars, right? Like they're right now building automation out of those cars. And I think that's one of the biggest and most complex challenges in AI, where you have to be able to perceive the environment and be able to address anything that is happening in the environment in an automated way. So I think this is one of the most challenges works that we're working with our customers, where we are helping them build this model by giving them data in not only 2D images or pictures, we're actually looking at a 3D world. So the people here at Sama will be using a platform that it's a 3D annotation platform, and they really have to understand how to navigate this platform to generate the right labels so that our customers can build this type of features like automated parking or lane tracking. They can keep the lane by themselves, like without the input of a human, which is very exciting.
It is exciting. You make it also sound a bit fun and easy. You've mentioned about autonomous vehicles. What are some of the key challenges probably your team faces when it comes up with such innovative products?
So there are different challenges. Our customers face different challenges ourselves. So our customers are building this type of features. They really need to understand how the data works, and if the data will be good enough so that their models will become good. If you think about AI, the way that AI is built is that there's different ways. You have supervised learning or unsupervised learning. The ones that we work with is that we give data to the machine so that the machine can learn by themselves, right? So the most important part in there is data. But the second most important part and the biggest challenge is how the human is interacting with this model, right? So for example, if nowadays you have like ChatGPT, you go in and you search something, how you're interacting with that experience will make the difference on your adoption, right? ChatGPT existed for a long time, but it was not until you have this very easy way to interact with it that it got actually adopted. So in Sama, we implement our own AI models to make our associates' life better and the way that they're doing the annotation. It's the same thing. If we implement something that is not easy to use, we have challenges and no adoption. So we have to continuously iterate and ensure that the model is performing well, that is easy to use so that our associates can also adopt them. So I think the biggest and most critical challenge in implementing an AI model is making sure that the users knows how to adopt it.
Well, how do you also ensure that you respect data privacy and security concerns for users who use your products?
Really great question. So at Sama, we have certification, like privacy certifications. We have ISO and TISAX, which are like the most important for you to have. But I think the thing that is the most relevant for you to keep everything in a good way, private and secure, is the operation model that you have. At Sama, we have our own employees and extremely secured facility. So anyone that comes in, we know exactly who is working in what data. And so there are some other companies that will not have that. They will have another type of employment model that they are contractors instead of full-time employees or employees inside of the building. So those are the two main aspects, but we also have different tools that will anonymize the data, tokenize the data, or even blur the different images to add that extra layer of security. And the ethical guild tool, right? So the ethical guild that is taking care of ensuring that we are working in ethical things, they're also running different security analysis and ensuring that all of our data will remain private and secure.
Let's talk about human resource. You've talked about the team, and I've seen you have a large team here. So what is the collaboration process like for data scientists and engineers who work at Sama?
I love the question because when I joined, I remember there's always been certain level of connection and collaboration, but the collaboration, I think, is the most critical aspect for us to be able to implement things the right way. When I mentioned in the previous question, it's all about adoption, right? So there's no world where data scientists remain in a room and they're just doing everything by themselves, and then they go and give it to someone, and that someone has no idea how to use it, right? So it's very important that the data science understand exactly how the user is interacting with the product or this AI model, so that they can build the right thing and that they can come part and part with them. For example, I am here right now, with my lead engineer, and we're sitting down with our users and ensuring that all the products are being adopted properly, right? And the other initiative that we do, I called it Let's Annotate. We do data annotation, right? So I make all of our ML engineers and data scientists do the annotation themselves. So they are, for a couple of hours just in the role of an associate doing the annotation the exact same way that our associates are doing it in here. So it's very important that the data science understand exactly how the user is interacting with the product or this AI model, so that they can build the right thing and that they can come part and part with them. For For example, I am here right now, like with my lead engineer, and we're sitting down with our users and ensuring that like all the products are being adopted properly, right? And the other initiative that we do, I called it Let's Annotate. We do data annotation, right? So I make all of our ML engineers and data scientists do the annotation themselves. So they are, I don't know, for a couple of hours just in the role of an associate doing the annotation the exact same way that our associates are doing it in here. So like that, they really understand how and what are the challenges that they might face when they're building the AI models.
And you also work for a lot of clients around the world. How do you measure the success of your products that you come up with, the machine learning and AI products?
As I mentioned, there is 2 different layers of AI development at Sama. There is the customer AI development, and then it's our own internal AI development. So internally, it's all about the same adoption, right? So we do have ways to identify who is using the feature and who is not using the feature. So we might have multiple features. Some of them are AI enabled, some of them are not, and we will look for the adoption for them. So for instance, we had a model for a particular customer that was widely used, and we saw the drop of adoption, and right away we went in and we identified what was the problem. The data had changed. So with that measurement, you can quickly iterate and make sure that you can keep your models and your systems up to date so that they're properly used. In the case for our customers, it's all about the data quality. So we have very tight SLAs. So the type of work that we're generating needs to be at 95% quality. So that's kind of like a KPI that it's required. And that's the way that they would identify if our data is good enough or not. And then they would use that to build their own models and see how their models are performing with that data. And that's why they prefer us the most, because we generate the most quality data in the industry, which makes their models like work much better than any other competitor.
You mentioned that you work closely with a guild. They are evolving. Or let me put it this way. What steps does your company take to ensure that it moves with the evolving, data privacy and AI, landscape?
So here at Tama, we have a team of lawyers here in Kenya and in North America to continuously monitor legislative changes. But also at Sama, because we are running and building these cutting edge technologies and building AI from like the beginning, we are also actively contributing our expertise to regulators across the world. So for example, there is organizations like General Partnership on AI, which are dealing with the future of work, and the Partnerships of AI, Ethical Supply Chains, and even OECD working groups such as data scraping and intellectual property. So we are really playing a super active role into defining the future of AI in a safe way.
So what are some of the initiatives that you take to ensure that there's continuous learning for your team, or investments that you've made to ensure that there's continuous learning as AI and machine learning keeps evolving?
Yeah, one of the exciting things of working in AI is that we are interacting directly with our customers. They're pretty much building the newest things. We are very close, and I usually, when we're interacting with our customers, I bring in our own ML engineers to interact with them and build together this new innovation. Also, our own ML researchers are all very nerds and are constantly just reading a lot of papers and making sure that they're up to date with all the new approaches of doing things in AI. And we also have one thing that is called our innovation hub. So we have a group of people that are constantly innovating and building new things, keeping up to date with the extremely fast evolving industry to make sure that we are building the right solutions for our customers.
And lastly, do you have some examples that are outstanding of how AI and machine learning have transformed the business processes of your customers?
Yeah. Same. We have external use cases and internal use cases, and we have a product line called Sama Curate. Sama Curate makes sure that we are curating the data in a way that it's easier for us and also better for our customers. So we have ML models that will run through the data no matter how the data is, and will identify which are the data parts that your model will benefit the most. But it's also used for operations. So we'll be able to distribute, for example, work. If we see that there's a lot of complex work that is coming, we are able to identify that early on so that we can optimize our operation system. So we have a lot of people working in different tasks. So we have this Sama Curate on top of it that will like automatically identify and see how we can give work the right way so that our operations can continuously running in a smooth way.
Well, before I let you go, what is your experience in Kenya? How does Kenya rank in the field of machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Well, I think there are little countries that are currently building AI, and the fact that like Kenya is one of them, and they're really contributing heavily in the building of it. Like if you think of the work that we've been doing in this building, we've been collaborating with one of the most used features nowadays. I will not mention most of them, but like it's really impressive how everything is born here, right? Here is where all the work is being done so that we can actually implement things that are being used across the whole world. And I have access to that information because I work like directly with it, but things that you use probably in your day-to-day basis are things that have been generated thanks to a country like Kenya, which is amazing.
Thank you very much, Renata.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Of course, that's my earlier chat with Renata Walker, an AI expert. I learned quite a lot today.
I have learned quite a lot listening to that, and I must admit that indeed that's where the world is headed. We have no choice but to learn and learn and learn.
Definitely.
And we have lots of feedback, but I'm just told that we cannot go through that because...
In the interest of time.
Yes.
Definitely. But experts are also saying that the government needs now to, incorporate such lessons in our curriculum, which I found very, very important, and probably we'll have that discussion later on.
I doubt we can run away from that. I doubt. All right.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us to the tail end of this broadcast. My name is Eric Munani. Our sign language interpreter during the entire broadcast was Rhoda Nyamai.
And for clarity, I'm told I said wa baby, and I was like, wa baby.
It's wa baby.
Right after this, my name is Linda Lela. Do have yourself a lovely Friday night. Bye-bye.